I'm doing very well. How are you? Salam alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you. And what's our subject today?
We're just looking at well, for the time being, we're looking at different claims in the Quran to see if they can be historically verified. So the example I was giving earlier, let's go to chapter 10, verse 90. Is this particular one? We can go to the Samaritan at the time of Moses in a minute, which is chapter 20, verse 85.
I
But
guess we
basically,
already, I guess we already talked about it. And to be honest, to go through it, if you have something else to talk about, I'm more than willing to talk about. So let's agree about subject and talk about because I don't have a proof as I mentioned to you that and you rely on scholar, and I'm not able to bring any proof to refute that. And you claim that the Quran have a lot of mistakes.
mhm.
So and the same way, if there's a lot of mistake in the Quran, we need to treat the Quran as we treat the Bible. If we find contradiction and something wrong in both of them, why would you believe in the Holy Bible and I believe in the Holy Quran?
Well, this is my question about. This was the question I was asking about.
Is it is it is it possible you speak up a little bit because I guess the voice
Oh,
is
my
little
apologies. Is
bit.
this better?
I guess it is a little bit better. Yeah,
Okay, okay. I'll just speak a little louder then. So,
that's fine.
essentially, the point I was trying to make was when I look at this verse, chapter 10, verse 90, and I have other examples as well. But what I was saying was, if this is a clear historical error, okay, and the reason we know this is because we have academic works that were written by Egyptologists who look at the forensic evidence because the bodies of the pharaohs from the 18th and 19th dynastic period were perfectly preserved because they were mummified. So forensics were able to analyze the bodies and they saw that none of them drowned. The problem is the Quran makes a very clear historical claim, which is that the Pharaoh at the time of Moses drowned, but we know he didn't because we have all the bodies of all the potential candidates. Now, the candidate that's put forward as the most likely Pharaoh for that time is Ramses II. But the point that I'm trying to make is if this is a clear historical error on the basis of the Quran and on the basis of the evidence that we currently have today, why should I believe in this?
You don't have to believe, while you need to consider that the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we will preserve the Pharaoh as it is to be a sign for the disbeliever. And this is confirming that when Moses fled with his people, they come and they split the sea, and they his people, his army, when they try to cross, they die. Uh, Besides, they didn't die in the sea; it was just on the shore, and this is. I don't know those four scholar, the Egyptian scholar you mentioned, but regarding this by itself, it give you a confirmation that about the miracle which happened when Moses was surrounded and he didn't have any other way but to trust God, and this is how God inspired him to hit the sea with his stick, and the sea was open, and they were uh, uh, passed with safety. While when Pharaoh with his people run after them, God allows the sea to just drown all of them. And the Quran mentions that we will preserve the body of Pharaoh uh, exactly for other people as a sign of a truth. And I don't understand. You're talking about that they I don't know, they analyze his body, and uh, uh, I know that the Egyptian, they have already mummified a lot of their king and through the years. And as I, I mentioned to you, I read about a German scholar, because the German and the English, they used to go and they do the investigation and Egypt, and they say that he was drowned and there was salt in his body, but still it preserved, and this is confirmed what the Quran talk about.
Okay, what's the name of the scholar?
Uh, I told you I don't know, and I'm trying to deceive you or to lie to you. I don't have the name of those scientists who done this, but regardless of this, you know, why don't you? You just now want to pick up on only this verse and the Quran?
No, no. My point is the point that I was making is that there is no German scholar that says that. I've looked
Uh,
into the evidence.
Fair enough.
Um,
Fair enough.
um,
I'm not
I,
going to dispute that.
yeah, yeah, no, no. But I've looked into the evidence because I did provide you with names of Egyptologists
You
that do
did.
agree.
You
That
did.
do agree this is a historical error. I'm not making this up. This is the view within Egyptology. Um, and the point that I was making is that when I look at Ibn Kathir's tafsir on this particular verse, what he says is that as Pharaoh was drowning, okay, this is his claim, okay, as Pharaoh was drowning, Pharaoh tried to take his shahada, right? Gabriel comes out of nowhere, right, and shoves mud down Pharaoh's mouth and then forces him to die by drowning, okay? And then it says his body then was thrown up, okay, and it was preserved as a sign, okay, which is the thing you were talking about. What
Okay.
I'm saying is when forensics have analyzed Pharaoh's body, because I gave you the works, I gave you the examples by credible Egyptologists where they talk about the research that was done, they all agree that the thing that the Pharaoh died from was old age. There's no evidence of drowning. Because physically speaking, like I'll give you an example, okay? If I say to you, okay, this person down the road, they were shot in the head, okay?
Yeah.
Let's say they were shot in the head. You're in a lab, you're a forensics person, okay? You're looking at the body, okay? The
Yeah.
first thing you're going to look to is what? You're going to look for a head wound, okay? Because if someone shoots you in the head, there's going to be a bullet wound in your head, okay?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Exactly. This is my point, okay? Now,
Uh,
if you went, wait, 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 let me
can I
finish my
respond
point.
to your
Wait, let me
point?
one sec. I'm not finished my point yet.
Please
What
do.
what I'm saying is that if you're a forensics person, okay, and then you look at his head and you see there's no bullet wound, okay, you're then going to say, okay, Adam was just making that up, okay, because
Okay.
I have the body here. I have the body here. There's no bullet wound. He's just making it up. Okay, he got it wrong. And this is the same situation with Pharaoh, okay?
It's not a
Forensics,
coincidence.
okay?
You
Forensics did
finish?
a no, no, almost. Forensics did an in-depth analysis of his entire body because it was perfectly preserved through mummification, okay? And they determined that the determining cause in his death was old age. He died around the age of 90. Okay, that was conclusive in the context of when they looked at his body, they looked at his organs, they looked at his bones, they did an in-depth medical analysis of his body, and that was the conclusion they came to. That in and of itself is a complete contradiction to what the Quran says. Okay, so that's why Egyptologists, when they look at this particular verse, they'll say it's a historical error. They'll say Muhammad got it wrong. It's a historical mistake. So I don't know what you as a Muslim then do with that.
What I'm saying is, it's not a coincidence that as soon as Pharaoh follow Moses, he died exactly where he was catching up the Jew and Moses, peace be upon him. And you're saying he died in old age, and the preservation, as I mentioned, the preservation of not only Pharaoh, they discover a lot of tomb, and they have access to more than one. But why this in particular one? He just died exactly when he's following Moses and his people. Uh, I'm while I'm talking to you, to be honest, I'm trying to find something, but I'm not able.
Yeah, there's nothing there. I've checked.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay,
Look, I promise you, I've done my research. I gave you the names of the Egyptologists. I've tried to find stuff for this verse to back it up, and there's nothing there. It's
okay,
all stuff that says the opposite, that says that this claim is incorrect.
okay. Your second question is always uh, was why you are Muslim.
Yeah,
Yes.
what I'm asking is, okay, in the
Your
context.
voice gone again very low, and
Okay, my apologies. Is it better now?
it's better. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Uh,
I'll try and keep the mic as close as possible. But
please.
basically, what I'm saying is, yeah, this was my claim, okay, and I was trying to say this a little earlier, which is
Okay.
that you believe obviously that God knows everything, okay, God knows all things, okay, and you also believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that the
Yeah.
Quran is Kalam Allah, right?
Yes. Yes. Of course.
Okay, so if it's Kalam Allah, it would be free from errors, right? It would be free from contradictions. It would be free from mistakes, okay.
Exactly.
Uh,
Yes.
and then on top of that, as far as Muhammad is concerned, when you look at I'm assuming you're Sunni Muslim, right?
I am.
So you believe in Sahih great hadith, right?
Uh, any Sahih hadith, if it contradicts the Quran, I reject it because hadith they are there's weak, there's fabricated, there's
Mm.
false, there's many,
Yeah, but
and because
what does Sahih great mean?
let me finish. Uh, Bukhari, he came 185 years after the Prophet death,
Hmm.
and he accumulate a lot of hadith, and then uh, this is why I'm saying the Quran is our scale regarding any hadith. So maybe I would reject some hadith as long as it contradicts with the Quran, and this is normal.
No, but what I'm saying is my understanding based on the Sunni Muslims that I've talked to, and I've talked to a lot of the Dawah guys from the Dawah channels, the big Dawah channels,
Okay.
they have told me that if the grade of the hadith, because there's different grades, there's Sahih, Hazan, Daif, for example, okay? They
Yeah.
said if it's Sahih grade, we accept it without question. We don't question it. We accept it as words because of the chain of narration. This can be, we can say conclusively that this goes back to Muhammad. These are Muhammad's words, and because they're Muhammad's words, we don't question it. That's what they told
Okay.
me. Okay, if it's
Okay.
Sahih grade,
Okay.
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 So this hadith here, the one that I brought up about Ishmael speaking Arabic, this
Yeah.
is Sahih grade. So
Okay.
this is authentic to Muhammad. This goes back to the Muhammad. So the other thing is that if Muhammad is speaking as a prophet and he's making a prophetic claim, right? You
Yeah.
would agree with me that he can't make a mistake. He can't be in error, right? He wouldn't be making mistakes if he's claiming
Yeah.
something. Okay. This is my point. I don't understand then why on earth Muhammad is saying that Ishmael spoke Arabic when linguists agree that the Arabic language didn't exist at that time.
Now we are talking about the language. At the time of the Prophet, peace upon him, the Arab were well known for their elegant poem and those people who can recite a poem and they are were excellent in their Arabic.
Mhm.
While when the Quran came in the same language, but in a different linguistic form.
Mhm.
So the Prophet, peace upon him, you need to take in consideration that he lived among his people for 40 years and he never claimed that he's a prophet or anything, but he was well known as a trustworthy. And when he uh, come to them and told them that he is a prophet, they turn against him and they start to fight anybody accepted Islam and try to kill them till after 13 years he fled to Medina.
Mhm.
I would like to talk about the Quran bring a lot of proof, as I mentioned, and talk about lot of stuff. I would like to mention, for
No, no, hold
example,
on, hold on, hold on.
I'm
My
holding on.
question, my question was specifically about this hadith. Okay.
Which
Uh,
hadith?
so this is Sahih al Bukhari 3364. Okay. So
Okay.
this is Sahih grade hadith. So this is authentic. This is reliable. This the chain of narration goes back to Muhammad and it's authentic. Okay, so
Okay.
Muhammad actually said this. Okay, according to the Sunni tradition. Okay,
Okay.
what I don't understand is, and this was my original question. Okay, why on earth is Muhammad saying that Ishmael spoke Arabic when Arabic didn't exist as a language back then? Because, for example, I did my master's in applied linguistics. Okay,
Yeah.
and one of the things we looked at was the development of languages. Okay,
Okay.
how languages develop across time. So languages go through a process called grammaticalization, where they become grammatically more developed across the centuries. So I'll give you one example. In the oldest form of German, there didn't exist a future tense. It wasn't until Middle German, about 700 years later, that they developed a future tense to help better express the future tense. Okay, this is what happens with languages. They develop across time. They become more advanced, let's just say. Okay, but we also can trace the different sources of where languages came from and how they developed from other languages. Okay,
Okay.
so
Can you,
my
as long as you are expert on this, can you tell me how did the Arabic language evolve and become to contain almost 12 million, 12 million word in it, root word?
yeah. So I provided earlier. I don't know if you saw in the chat. I provided a source, and this is by an Arabic scholar. Okay, and I'm recommending you read this. Okay, so this is by Al Jalad Ahmed. It's a 2018 work. It's a credible academic linguistic work from an Arabic speaking scholar. Okay,
Okay.
and it's called, no, no, listen to the title of the book. It's called The Earliest Stages of Arabic and Its Linguistic Classification. So
Okay.
he goes through the entire development of the Arabic language from its
Fair enough.
earliest form up until its present modern form. Okay?
Fair enough. Does it that mean that the Arabic language with the Quran came up with, uh, does it give it a positive or negative aspect?
No, no, it's talking about when did the Arabic language come into existence and how did it develop. It's a linguistic work. So he points out, for example, the earliest form of Arabic, right, that was most similar to the Arabic spoken in Muhammad's time, didn't come into existence until around the 3rd century AD. Okay, and then up until the time of Muhammad, it developed further into what Muhammad spoke, and then obviously later what became modern Arabic. Okay, the point that I was trying to make is that Ishmael lived around 1800 BC, right, which is
Okay.
about 2000 years before. Okay,
Okay.
and if you go to a credible, and I'm actually I'm asking you to do this, go to a credible linguist and ask them what was the most prominent language spoken back at the time of Ishmael and the time of Abraham, back around 1800 BC, and they'll tell you it was Akkadian. Akkadian is one of the most ancient Semitic languages that existed that we know of today, okay? And they'll say that that was the most prominent language at that time in that region. So that's why if you ask them, they'll say Abraham and Ishmael would have spoke Akkadian. And then if you say to them, well, wait a minute, I have a hadith here where Muhammad said that Ishmael spoke Arabic, they'll tell you that can't be possible because Arabic didn't exist back then. That's what they'll say to you. And that's my
I'm,
claim. I don't
Look,
understand how
I'm
Muhammad's
not
getting that wrong.
I'm not going to dispute that because you know that Ibrahim, peace upon him, he came from Iraq, and Iraq from Ur, where is Babel, and the people of Babel, they, you know, you have the Ashuri, you have so many different tribes, and but this is and even you know, I don't want to talk about languages because I'm not an expert about languages, but even the Arabia, you know, people of Yemen, there used to be civilization over there, and Persian and all of and they spoke many different different languages. While the Arabic, if it derived from, let's say, Aramaic, we can say that only a few people left in Syria, a pocket in Syria, a pocket in Iraq, who are Assyrian, and they can understand and talk. While from Yemen, the most Arabic speaker people came from Yemen, because Yemen, it used to be belongs to the Queen Sheba, Malikat Saba, and this is how it expand all around. The language. This is why I ask you, what's the negative aspect of the Arabic language? And as I mentioned, the Arabic language is an ocean of words. It contains, for example, uh, if a lion, it have up to maybe 14 word for a lion. So the Arabic language is the top form of languages, regardless of its evolving through the years. But Prophet Muhammad, he came among his people, the Arab, which they were very good and reciting by heart, poem, which you need the computer to manage it. And he came with a different form, unusual from the Arabic they spoke, and he challenged people to introduce first a verse like it, then 10 verses, then a chapter like it. And we are 1,448 years from the Prophet, and nobody can dispute or bring a chapter like the Quran. And the Quran, as I mentioned to you, Prophet Muhammad, he used to be an illiterate person who never write or read. He came with some verses only in the last 200 years, with our advanced science and electric and macroscopic stuff. This it came to be true. He talked about it long time ago, and this is by itself. It's a miracle, and this is why. And
Wait, hold on, hold on,
yeah,
hold on.
I will
Wait,
hold on.
look, hold on. My issue is, again, you're going on a tangent to this other thing. I'm asking specifically about this hadith, okay? My question is why is Muhammad getting this wrong? Okay, like
Uh,
I'll give you an example, and I said this at the very start. I don't know if you heard.
my
Okay,
dear,
my
what's your name, by the way? What's your name?
pardon,
Adam.
Adam. Yeah,
Adam. Why,
my.
why you concentrating on hadith while you have the Quran?
Oh
You
no,
don't
I
have.
have. I look. We can go to
You
the. Wait,
don't
hold
trust the
on.
Quran.
No,
You
no, we
don't
can
trust the
go. We're
Quran.
gonna go
You
to the
have a
Quran
doubt
in a
about
second.
the
We're
Quran. You
going
have
to
doubt
go.
about hadith.
Hold on. Okay,
I'm holding on. Okay.
as a Sunni, okay, as a Sunni Muslim, okay, and I've spoken with many Sunni Muslims, okay, and I've gone on to Dawah channels and I've spoken with them, okay, and I told you at the very start, okay, for them, okay, it's Quran plus Sahih Great Hadith. They don't negate the Sahih Great Hadith, because I can give you an example in the Quran where you need the Hadith to explain it, because without it, it doesn't make sense, okay. And I can give you an example later of that, okay? That's why you have this entire tradition of these authentic words of Muhammad authenticating certain things in the Quran, because without it, they can't be authenticated, okay? That's why both are required within the Sunni tradition, okay? Now, again, we'll go to the Quran in a second, but what I'm saying is this specific hadith here has Muhammad saying that Ishmael spoke Arabic, okay? What I'm saying is linguists agree that that's not true. There was no Arabic at the time of Ishmael. The language, the most prominent language that existed in that region and in that area was Akkadian. That's why if you go to a linguist and you ask them what language did Ishmael speak, what language did Abraham speak, they'll tell you Akkadian. And if you say to them, but my prophet said he spoke Arabic, they'll then tell you that's not true, that's false. Arabic didn't exist then. Okay,
Yeah.
so, and this is what I was trying to get at a little earlier, right? If Muhammad is a true prophet of God, okay, how is he making a mistake like this? How is he saying that Ishmael spoke Arabic when we know today, based on evidence, that, and I gave you the example of a linguistic work by an Arabic-speaking credible linguist who agrees that this is a historical claim, that this is incorrect. So, why is Muhammad getting this wrong?
Regarding what Ishmael spoke, Even the Bible talk about that the land of Arabia. Why they call it Arabia? And it's related to Arabic speaking word, Arabia, and the land of Paran. And uh, you're relying on hadith, and this hadith. If what his name, Ishmael, peace upon him. Ishmael was born from Hajar, and Hajar, she's an Egyptian woman. To be honest, I don't know. Did the Egyptian spoke different language than Arabic then? And
No, the
why?
point. Yeah, the point I was making is, right, you have
Yeah,
ancient Egyptian languages as well, okay? But the
okay.
point I was making is that at that time, 1800 BC, and I'm asking you to look this up, okay? And go and ask, right, credible linguists, and they will tell you Arabic did not exist at that time, okay?
Look,
I'll give you an
okay.
example, okay? The
If it's
Bible, wait, hold on. The
yeah, yeah,
Bible,
I'm
the
holding
Bible,
on.
let me finish the point first, okay? The Bible does not say that any of these people spoke Arabic. It doesn't mention the Arabic language. Okay, it doesn't say they spoke Arabic in any verse. What I'm saying is that Muhammad here is very specific. Muhammad says, yeah, Ishmael spoke Arabic. What linguists will tell you if you go and ask them is that can't be possible. Arabic didn't exist back then. Okay, you're talking
Okay,
1800
okay.
BC.
Let's say what you are saying is true. What does it prove?
Okay, what it proves is, right, and I asked you this earlier, okay? If Muhammad is a true prophet of God, would he be making mistakes like that?
Okay, I'm going to go along. Uh, if, Muhammad as a human, does he make mistake or not?
So you're again, so you're negating his prophethood then. He
No,
didn't
no, no,
receive
no,
divine
no.
revelation.
What I'm saying is the perfection is for God only. Beside God, even Jesus said, "Don't call me good. The Father is the only good." What I'm saying is, if what you're saying is true, does the Quran, as I mentioned, talk about so many different stuff? I would like to you allow me to mention few, so at least we can carry on talking about it.
So are you willing to concede? Okay, so you're willing to concede then. Again, I expect you'll go and you'll check this and you'll ask the linguist yourself. But are you willing to concede, at least based on the current evidence I've provided you with, that Muhammad gets this wrong?
You know, you're spoken about hadith, and you are trying to prove that the prophet have done mistake according to hadith, while Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed the prophet that he is his prophet, and he is with a great character. And the prophet, even before he became prophet, as I mentioned, he used to be called al-amin. Al-Amin, that means the trustworthy among his people. And when he asks them, if I would tell you that there is behind, this is the first time he come face to face against his tribe.
Hmm.
He told them, I lived among you 40 years. If I told you behind that mountain there is an army will attack you, would you say I am a liar? They told him, no, we will believe you because we trust you and you never say a lie. So when he tells them, I am a messenger from God to you, then they disapprove him and they didn't believe him. And
But how can I trust Muhammad if he's making stuff
you,
up,
you,
if he's getting stuff wrong?
you don't have to trust Muhammad. You
But
are
this
as a
but
person.
you asked me about the
Let,
evidence.
let,
You asked
let
me
me
about
tell you.
the
Let me
you
tell
asked
you.
me about you asked me
Let,
about the evidence. You asked me about the evidence of this specific hadith, right?
okay,
And
okay,
the point I was trying to make is that if Muhammad's coming out with stuff that he's just making up, right? If
okay.
he's just making stuff up, why would I trust someone who's just making stuff up?
Let me tell you why. You need to trust the Prophet Muhammad because Prophet Muhammad come with a clear legislation to mankind different than the legislation of the Moses, because Moses law it's specific for the Jew, the race, while Prophet Muhammad came with the legislation to all mankind regarding inheritance, regarding divorce, regarding commerce, regarding what's lawful and unlawful, regarding what you need to eat, what you need to do, don't backbite, regarding dealing with other people. And this is what Muhammad came up with. He confirmed the oneness of God. He confirmed the previous scripture and previous prophet. He came to confirm that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the only our creator, confirm that all the prophet and messenger came with one message to all mankind: the Lord our God is one, and to submit and worship and total submission to one creator, not to associate anybody with. And all the prophet and messenger, including Jesus, they done exactly the same. So Prophet Muhammad is not only prophet to Islam, it prophet to all mankind, including you. So what you are trying to do to disprove his prophecy, you need to come up with something, as you already did. You rely on a scholar to disprove the Quran, and it's up to you, because faith is never by force.
I know that, but what I'm saying is that I understand what you're saying. There's an element of faith to religion. I get that, okay? And there's an element of me voluntarily believing in something. I have to make that step. I understand that premise. I'm not negating that. What I'm saying is, if someone comes with a clear sign or proof, for example, that Muhammad got things wrong or the Quran gets things wrong and makes mistakes, then why should I believe in that if the evidence tells me there's no point because the evidence says that it's not true? Um, there's other issues as well. We'll go to, and I want to get your take on this because you wanted to go to the Quran. So let's go to Surah Al-Nisa, verse 157, because this
Okay.
is like this obviously is a big issue for scholars today, right?
Put it on the screen. We talk about it.
Yeah, I have it on the screen now. So, okay,
Beautiful, beautiful,
let me
beautiful.
ask you. Let me ask you first.
Before you ask me, if Jesus were crucified, and die for the sin of other, do you think? Please reflect, because it's very, very important. Do you think that the Father is just regarding the Son?
But you don't believe in the Father.
Let me say that he died on the cross, yeah, and what you're saying is right. Where Quran, God of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, reject and said they didn't crucify him, and he was saved.
But here's the issue, though. Actually, I should ask you first and foremost. I should ask you: is your position the standard Sunni position of there was substitution done, that someone else was put on the cross instead of Christ, or do you go with the other position, which is that Christ was on the cross, but Allah preserved him on the cross and then raised him up to Himself? What exactly is your position on this verse? Because there's different Muslims have different ideas of what may have happened here.
My position is exactly like the Quran say, that there is somebody else was crucified in his place, and he was saved. And
so let me ask you then, because you talked about God being just, okay? So that man is being punished for a crime that he didn't commit by Allah's authority, okay? How is that fair, and how is Allah just if He's putting someone else on the cross that doesn't deserve to be on the cross?
Let me answer that. The one who died on the cross, he must be one of the criminal who been crucified like the other two. And God, because God plan and other people plan. When Jesus, peace upon him, he obey, he submit, he glorify, he praise, he praise his Father, and he done the will of God, and he done exactly all what he need to do to and God, whenever Jesus done any miracle, he always raised his hand to the Father and thanks him, and he was grateful. And Jesus trust his Father, and even when Shaitan he take Jesus to the desert and he test him, and he told him through yourself. Uh, uh, Even Shaitan, he said, the Father will send his angel and he will save you. Then what Jesus responded to Shaitan? Don't test your God, and Jesus trusts this God. So accordingly, God of the Bible, he teach in Ezekiel chapter 18 that the fathers they don't die for the sin of the children they don't die for the sin of the father.
Here's
So
the problem.
every
Here's the
soul,
problem. Hold on. Hold on.
no,
Here's
no,
the
no, I
problem.
didn't
No,
finish.
no,
I
no, no.
didn't
Hold
finish.
on. Hold on. The
No, no,
problem
I
with
don't.
that,
Hold on. Allow me to finish.
you're going to hold on. We need to keep it focused on one thing. Okay. You're going to a million different things and then trying to bring them all together. Okay. One thing at a time. Okay. Because if we start doing that, I can rattle off 20 different things in the Quran, and then there's no point in this conversation because then you'll have 20 different things to address. So let's take it one thing at a time. Okay. The problem with that verse in Ezekiel is that it's refuted in chapter 36, because God says in chapter 36 of Ezekiel that he's going to come and atone for the sins of mankind. Okay? So there's a context to that that's provided in a later chapter. That's the first thing, okay?
Can I respond to
Secondly,
that? Can I
secondly, I'm
respond to that?
responding. Hold
No,
on.
no, please, one by one,
I'm
one
responding
by
to
one.
what you said. I'm
Look,
responding to the things you said, okay?
no, no,
The other thing, my other issue,
no,
okay,
no,
my other
no, no,
issue,
no.
hold on,
You
hold
don't,
on.
you don't carry on
Mentioned a
because
couple of points. You mentioned a couple of points, okay? I'm responding to your points, okay? The other point you mentioned is that you believe, okay, that a criminal was put on the cross instead of Jesus, okay? Ibn Kathir doesn't say that. What does Ibn Kathir say in his tafsir about this?
you interrupt me, and now you ask me
I'm
about Ibn
responding
Kathir.
to what you said. I'm
Uh,
responding to what you said. You
no,
said that you told me that a
I
criminal was
want
put on the cross instead of Jesus.
look.
I'm asking you, what does Ibn Kathir say? Okay, because I'm going with a reliable Islamic tafsir writer, okay, a commentator, right, who's reliable within your tradition. What does he say about this verse? What's his tafsir say?
I'm going to carry on answer Ezekiel, then I will come to Ibn Kathir. Do you agree, or you're not going to allow me?
No, you can continue on. Go
Okay.
ahead.
Uh, while in Ezekiel it teach that the soul who sin is the only one who die, yeah, and the one who repent and leave all the bad deed and submit and repent, God will be forgiven all of its sin as it's never die. The man will not die if he repent. While you said God, he came and he died for other people's sin. Let me tell
That's what
you
Ezekiel
that,
says.
hold on. You need to know that God is eternal and immortal and invisible, and God does not die. Even if he wants to die, he is not able to die because he is the all living, all hearing, all knowing, and God does not die for the sin of others. But God, when you repent to him as a human, when you repent with sincerity, God mercy is bigger than any sin you done, and he will forgive you and he will admit you to paradise.
Okay, here's
Regard,
the problem with that, though.
regarding
Here's the problem with that, okay?
Regarding Ibn Kathir, I'm relying on Quran, and I don't care about Ibn Kathir because I don't have Ibn Kathir my book. My book is the Quran. While Ibn Kathir he can uh, interrupt whatever he want, I will accept it, but it doesn't mean that Ibn Kathir or Bukhari or anybody else, they don't have mistake, or they don't have something contradicting to the Quran. And this is why I use my mind to analyze what to accept, what not.
So Ibn
My
Kathir,
question
okay,
for you, my
wait,
question for you,
hold on. Ibn Kathir then, okay, going by your logic, okay. So was Ibn Kathir a Muslim or was he not a Muslim?
uh, my question for you
No,
is
hold on.
about,
Don't run, no, one sec. The question's very specific. Was Ibn Kathir a Muslim or not a Muslim?
he was Muslim, and
Okay.
for me,
According to Ibn
for
Kathir,
me,
then, okay, one second. According to Ibn Kathir, if Ibn Kathir is a Muslim, there's a problem, okay? Because Ibn Kathir believes in his tafsir, right, in Surah Al-Nisa, verse 157, right? Jesus went into his disciples shortly before the crucifixion and asked them, okay, and there's another Quranic verse which says that the disciples of Jesus were Muslims, okay, even though that can't be proven historically speaking, but that's a separate issue, okay. He asked them, which one of you will take my place? Okay. And one of the disciples says, I'll do it. I'll do it. And then Jesus makes the disciple look like him and him look like the disciple. If that happens, right, then that man is crucified, put in Jesus's place, even though he doesn't deserve to go through that humiliation, that punishment, and that torture. Okay. Whether willingly or not willingly, right? Allah has committed an injustice upon the cross, going by Ibn Kathir's logic. Okay, so that to me makes no sense. And do you still believe he's a Muslim when he believes a righteous man was put on the cross in Jesus' place and Allah committed an injustice?
uh, you know, if I am apostle of Prophet Jesus, I would sacrifice myself to protect him from anything else. And the companion of the Prophet, peace upon him, when they fought in the battle, they, shadow him from all around to protect him. So this is after Jesus was his apostle for 3 years. I find it odd that none of them were ready to sacrifice his life for them. Beside, when after the resurrection, why Maria Magdalena didn't recognize Jesus when he spoke to her? Can you tell me why? And why all the apostles deserted him and fled away from him?
Well, very simply, he gives the answer. He says that when the shepherd is struck, the sheep will depart. Okay, he actually explains that. He explains it within the verse. Okay, in terms of the appearance of Christ at a certain point at the resurrection, he masks his appearance, but then he later unveils. Okay, that's the point that's being made within the text. Okay, because everything has to be fulfilled in a specific way. Okay, this is the whole idea of prophecy fulfillment. And this is the other thing I don't understand about the Quran. Okay, the message of the Quran is in complete contradiction with the message in the Torah and the message in the Injil. I don't understand that, right? When there's no
what's the message in the Torah and Injil?
Well, the Torah, for example, in a number of places, okay, is what we would call, and what scholars today would call, is a typology. Okay, consistently, the prophets in the Old Testament, okay, according to the scholars, right, are pointing towards a future fulfillment of all things through God Himself. Okay.
Okay. Let me. Thank you.
And then you have other issues then as well, right? For example, in the Torah, consistently across the Torah, God for some reason takes these anthropomorphic forms. He takes these kind of humanoid forms. Okay, but according to the Quran, your Allah never enters into creation in that way. Okay?
No, he did. He did enter in a way, but it wasn't visible.
As in a human form.
No.
But according to the Torah, he does.
We will come to this, but what I want.
I'm asking you, why does he enter? Hold on. Why does he enter?
I will come to that. I will come to that.
Why does he enter in the Old Testament in a number of places across the Tanakh? Why does he take this human form?
I have a question. You know, what is the two commandments which they are the greatest teach by Jesus?
Oh, the two greatest commandments: love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul, and love your neighbor as yourself.
What is the second one?
Love your neighbor as yourself.
Okay, let me correct you here. The first one, you're absolutely right about it. The second greatest commandment, O Israel, the Lord our God is one.
No, that's not true. It doesn't say
Is
that.
is not true?
It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that in the gospel. Jesus says what the two greatest commandments are, and he qualifies them. We can go to the verse if you want. He says the first greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. The second is love your neighbor as yourself. And then he says the entirety of the law and the prophets rests upon these two commandments. Because the
Okay,
first
okay,
five commandments are about loving God, the second
okay.
five are about loving your neighbor. Oh, hold
Yes.
on. We have someone else in the chat. What I'm going to do is, because we've been going for quite some time, I'm going to give this other guest a chance. So what I'm going to do is it okay if I invite you to come back next Saturday and we can continue it from here? Because I have another guest who's been waiting, and I want to give him some time as well. It wouldn't be fair if we just keep going for like an hour or 2 hours. So we can continue next week.
To be honest, it's not fair because we are in the middle of conversation, and now because somebody else came, you want to dismiss me.
No,
It's
no, no.
not.
I'm
It
not
doesn't
saying that.
work
I'm
like
not saying
that.
that. What I'm saying is we can finish this point, okay, this current point, and then we can pick it up next week. Because if I have a guest in the thing waiting, do you think it's fair if he's waiting for an hour or 2 hours while we're having a discussion? Because
To be
to
honest,
be fair, I have given you, hold on, I have already given you close to an hour of my time, okay? And
I give you
I'm
2 hours
inviting
of my time.
yeah, I know, and
No, no.
I'm inviting you to come back next week, and we can continue the
Uh,
discussion further.
uh,
Okay? So
give me another 5 minutes. Then
okay. Now,
take your stuff.
before you go, before we finish up, I just want to finish with the point I was making. Okay, that's the consistent point. Okay, that's made in the Old Testament. Okay, in the New Testament, on the other hand, okay, this is the other thing that I don't understand. Okay, and this is agreed by scholars, by the way. Okay, one of the terms that goes back to the historical Jesus, based on the criterion of what we call the criterion of dissimilarity, is the term Abba, which means dad. Okay. Now, according to modern scholarship, right, again, agnostics and atheists, I'll give you an example. Bart Ehrman believes this. Jesus referred to God as dad. Okay. Can you do that, or is that haram in Islam? Because if I go by Surah Al-Ma'idah verse 18, you can't refer to Allah as your dad.
You know, in Matthew chapter 6, verse 6, the peacemaker is called the sons of God. A sons of God is metaphorical, talk about the
But not in the
servant,
context
the
of
obedient.
Jesus.
No, no,
Not
no.
in the context of Jesus.
Look. Regarding the Father and the Son, according to your Bible, God is the Father of the Israel, is the Father of Adam, the
But
Father
he's
of
the father
David,
of
the
Jesus in
Father.
what sense? Hold
Uh,
on. He's the
you,
father of
you're,
Jesus.
you,
Hold on. He's the father of Jesus in what sense?
you are interrupting when I'm talking. So you ask me, and as with the due respect, when you're talking, I'm not interrupting. And when I'm trying to answer you, uh,
But I'm trying to keep you focused. I'm
listen.
trying to keep you focused, okay? Because you're not providing, for example, okay? You're not providing credible scholarship to back up what you're saying. You're just saying stuff. You're
You
claiming
know,
stuff. I'll give you an
according
example.
no,
Well,
no.
hold on.
Before
I'm
you
gonna
give
get
me
you something.
example,
I want to get you something.
allow me to finish
One
what I'm
second. I'm gonna
saying.
get you something. I'm gonna get
According
you
to
something. Okay, so we have. I'm just gonna show you this so you can see. Okay, and we'll finish it up here because the other guest is leaving and joining because they're waiting. Okay, and you can continue next week.
you
Okay,
know,
but I want to show you
according
something.
to
Okay, hold on. I want to show you something. Okay, this is a Greek critical commentary. Okay, a Greek critical, most up-to-date tafsir commentary, right, on Matthew. That's written by one of our most credible scholars on Matthew. Okay. What I'm saying is, when I give you my viewpoint on any of these gospels, I'm not basing it on my own reading of the gospels. I'm going to the most up-to-date critical Greek scholarship that there is to back up my points. Because as you would say to me when it comes to the Quran, you would accuse me of not going to the tafsir and you'd accuse me of not knowing the Arabic. Okay? I'm going to
I
put the
didn't
same, hold
excuse
on.
anything.
I'm going to put the same standard upon you when I invite you back next week and we go through these verses. I want you to prove from the scholarship, from critical Greek scholarship, that they agree with the points that you're making, okay?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something because you keep interrupt me and you go and put your point of view always. You know, according to the God of the Bible, even the God of the Bible and Islam, he calls the children of the Most High. They are gods. So
Not according to the
some
Quran.
No, I'm talking about the Bible, and
Yeah,
this
but
is why,
this is your problem.
according,
This is your problem with the
no,
Quran.
it's
Okay,
not my problem.
it is your
This,
problem. It is your problem because
uh,
in the Quran it says that you are just a slave of Allah and nothing more. Okay,
uh,
what I'm
uh,
saying is you can't say, for
wasn't
example,
it,
when you're praying to Allah, right? You can't say
wasn't,
Allah,
wasn't,
my Abba,
what,
my dad.
was,
Okay,
wasn't,
you're not allowed
wasn't,
to say that. Okay,
wasn't.
okay. So one sec,
No,
before
I'm not
finish
one
up,
second. You're
finish up,
interrupting me. You're
finish up one
interrupting me
second.
every time.
The
Wasn't
other guest, hold
Jesus?
on, hold
Wasn't
on, hold on.
Jesus?
Be fair to the other guest. The
Was
other
not.
guest wants to come on too. Okay, be fair to the other guest. I gave you already an hour. Okay, I'm inviting you back next week, and we can continue from this point. Okay, and we can have a timed back and forth. Okay, I will have it timed so we won't interrupt each other, and we can do it timed so that no one's interrupted. Okay, come back next week, and we'll go through these verses together. Okay, and I don't mind whatever verses you want to go through. Okay, but
I
again,
want to
1
say.
p.m.
I want
next
to say
Saturday.
one verse. I want to
Okay,
say one verse,
okay.
and I want you to compare me to Jesus.
Mhm.
Jesus submit, serve, obey, serve, glorify, praise, and fell on his face to worship God. He is exactly done the same as any Muslim does. Do you
Can you
agree or not?
No, I don't, and I'll tell you why. Can you, as a Muslim, call yourself the Son of Man?
I am son of man.
No, no, no. Hold on. What
I
does
am son
Jesus?
of my
Hold on.
father.
What does Jesus mean by Son of Man?
God is not a man.
You didn't hear what I
God,
said. You know, you're ignoring the question. Hold on.
uh,
Okay, I'll explain. I'll explain.
read
And you,
your,
wait, hold
read
on. I'll explain.
Isaiah,
You ask me a question, I'm answering. You ask me a question, I'm
read
answering.
Isaiah, read
You're asking.
Isaiah
Hold on. Hold
46,
on. Hold
verse
on.
number
You're
9. No, no,
asking
no,
me a
no, no.
question.
You
You're asking a
interrupt me
question, I'm
again.
explaining. Okay.
You
This is
interrupt me
my answer.
again.
Okay. Hold on. Hold on. Let me answer your
You're
question.
not showing
Okay.
respect for
Okay,
the conversation.
hold on. Okay. You keep interrupting me. Okay. Let me answer your question. Okay. You keep interrupting me. Let me answer your question. Okay. When Jesus says Son of Man, okay, he's going in line with what your Quran says in chapter 2, verse 210. Okay. Because according to Jesus, the Son of Man is a divine figure who on the day of judgment is going to come with his angels and judge the entire world. Okay. You as a Muslim can't say that. Okay. You can't say that as a Muslim. Okay. This is the point I was trying to get to. Okay. Whenever Jesus talks about himself as the Son of Man, he's talking about a divine partner with Allah who on the day of judgment is going to come on the clouds of heaven with his angels, right, and judge the entirety of humanity. Okay. According to chapter 2, verse 210 of the Quran, that's a prerogative that belongs with Allah only. Okay. But Jesus says that he is that Son of Man who has that divine authority. Okay. So what do you do with that? Okay. I've unmuted you. I've answered your question, okay? Next week when you come, we'll have a timed back and forth so we don't interrupt each other and we'll address the verses. But when you're bringing up commentaries or verses,
Listen.
please back it up with credible scholarship. Don't just give me your own tafsir. I don't care about your tafsir. I want you to quote Greek critical scholars that agree with your viewpoint that back it up, because you would expect the same from me when I'm looking at your Quran. You'd want me to go to credible tafsir authors, and you want me to go to credible scholarship to back up my points, because otherwise I could just claim anything about the Quran.
You can claim whatever you like. Besides, next week I'm going to Spain. I live in London. I'm going to Spain for Christmas, so I'm not going to be able to come. Regarding our conversation,
I can put my email in the thing if you want, and you can contact me by email.
you don't need to. But to be honest, I didn't enjoy this conversation with you, because every single time I need to put my view on, you come up with something and interrupt, and I hate when people interrupt me. Thank you very much.
You were going on tangents, my friend. I was trying to keep you focused on one point after another, and you were going on tangents. You're always free to come on, okay?
Take care of it. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Hello?
Hello?
Are you Muslim?